of all our fears, this is really the one that's most realistic.
I've had my engine replaced, and so I didn't have a place to live during that time.
As a woman breaking down on the road, you hear a lot of stories about where there can be some violent crime in that kind of situation. Don't freak out.
Don't panic.
Don't panic. Hi everyone, welcome back to our next video. As you can see, it is the three of us reporters for CheapRVliving, CRVL. And we happen to all be together, camping together. So when we jump at the chance to shoot a video. And so today we're going to be part of a long-term series on fear, because there's a lot of fear. If you're new, you probably have some fears that you wish we would address. This is one of the most common fears. And of all our fears, this is really the one that's most realistic. Most of them are not realistic at all. This one's very real. And that is the idea of, what am I going to do if I break down on the road? Because if you do this long enough, you are going to break down on the road. And if you've never experienced it before, it's very scary. It's very scary. We've all broke down on the road now. So, so this
many
is
times.
Yeah, I'm going to say many times as well. But I think we all would agree that it isn't really as fearful or as bad as we built it up to be.
Right.
And that's what we want to reassure you today. So we're going to give you some different ideas of how to deal with that fear. To my mind, the best way to overcome our fears is to treat it like an ally. It's trying to help you. It's saying, here, this could go bad. What are you going to do about it? Our best response is to think about it and have a plan. So Autumn, why don't you get us started?
Sure. One of the first things that I think about is almost our mindset. Having the mindset and just expecting this is going to happen. This happens to all of us, and even people in $100,000, $200,000 Sprinter rigs. It just happens. And so I think knowing that, you won't be so thrown off guard. It won't feel like an affront from the universe, so to speak. I think that can be really helpful. So there's a few other things I added on my prevention list, and one is just taking really good care of your vehicle. So preventative maintenance in and of itself. Also, I have a diagnostic scanner, because if that check engine light goes on, if I can be empowered to basically tend to it right away, that can be so helpful. And I have a trusted mechanic who I built a relationship with that I can reach out to if that check engine code goes off and I can see how urgent something is. And I've done all of those things.
I will every so often, like once a year or two, every year or two at the most, I'll take it into my trusted mechanic and say, check this thing out. Anything that you think could fail at this point in its life, will you find it and let me know? And either we'll just replace it and get it done, or I'll carry that item with me. Another thing, another really big thing is gaining a skill in fixing that particular problem. So I broke down once because I had a belt break and I was just stuck on the side of the road. And if I'd had a belt and had the knowledge of how to put that belt on, I could have just fixed it and been on the road and it would have been just nothing. But I had to spend the night there on the side of the road. It was late in the evening and no traffic, and I just sat there and waited and it was fine. But so if you can find the most common things to fail and carry those with you.
Yeah, I can't agree more about, carrying an extra set of belts with you for your engine and those common parts, because even if you don't know how to change it, you have YouTube, or you might have someone stop along the side of the road. They may have the ability and the tools. You have the thing that needs to be replaced, so then you can do it. I've replaced a lot of belts on the side of the road. And so I definitely love just having the extra belt just in case. A couple other things I like to carry with me are, they have a self-sealing tape for like a radiator, pinhole radiator leak, and so something you can just like wrap around it. Some JB weld, just in case something breaks off. You can get kind of a list of some of these things. Baling wire and duct tape. That can go a long way, let me tell you. You can fix a lot of things with those two things. And so I would just add to the things that you're talking about. Yeah, have a couple of those other supplies. And again, even if you don't know how to use it, you might come across someone who does, and at least then you won't be stranded. And the last thing I'll say about the preventative part, have an emergency fund. That's going to reduce the amount of stress. If you do break down, you don't want that to be your last dollar and then you don't know what to do. You want to be able to get that repaired and get back on the road without putting yourself through the undue stress of not having the money, trying to figure out your finances. If that part's taken care of, now you're just needing the repair, and it makes it so much easier and less stressful.
It's so important.
Having an emergency fund is just absolutely crucial. Don't come out here without an emergency fund, and if you find you use it and now it's down and you don't really have an emergency fund left, stop traveling, get a job somewhere, work it all out, and build up that emergency fund.
Buy roadside assistance. If you have that, it's a nice insurance policy. You can get most policies for $100 or less for the year, and it is a great peace of mind so that if you do have a flat tire on the side of the road, you can just call someone, they'll come out and take care of it for you. So I think that that's a really good idea as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are you going to do in your immediate response? So you're driving down the road, and I'll just give you an example. This is something that happened to me, and it's, I bet, something similar to has happened to all of us. I'm driving down the road, I broke a belt. I'm in the middle of nowhere, there is no cell phone. It's late in the evening. There's almost no traffic now on the road. I'm safely off the road. And then I said, well, I'm going to spend the night here. I have my house with me. I'm not sleeping on the rocks with the rattlesnakes overnight. I'm in my house. If I had made it to my destination, I was going to sleep exactly the same way. Every night at dark, I take my dog for a walk, so we went for a long walk, and then I came home and I said, well, I'm going to make dinner. I pulled out my DVD player and watched a movie, and it was just another night. The immediate response is really crucial, and you're carrying your car with you. I hope that alleviates the fear that if you get the car off the road and you're safe, it's just another night.
Don't panic.
Don't panic.
So something I learned years ago at the RTR, someone that did a class on what to do if you get stuck. His number one thing to do when you get stuck, he said, make yourself a cup of tea. He goes, make yourself a cup of tea. Don't make it any worse than it already is. Sit there, drink your tea, and evaluate the situation. So we're going to relate this not just to getting stuck, but breaking down as well. So get yourself in a safe location. Then just sit there and reevaluate for a moment. Grab that cup of tea. You have your home with you, as Bob says. You have all the things that you need. Figure out, okay, what's my next logical step? Don't panic. Just go through and say, okay, this is what I need to do next. And you figured it out.
I think what's really powerful about what both of you guys are sharing is don't freak out. and we often quote a man named Viktor Frankl who has a quote that says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is the power to choose our response. It very much reminds me of the cup of tea or taking a night to sleep to reevaluate. As a woman breaking down on the road, you hear a lot of stories about where there can be some violent crime in that kind of situation. So for me, in addition to staying calm, being aware, I make sure to text my people. I also share my location with multiple people who I know love me and want me safe, and then I let them know. And if I were to need a ride from, say, the roadside assistant person, I send the license plate information. I just take steps to make sure here's the information I can give to people who I know want me safe. And also, this is kind of prevention, but just having solid self-defense. Self-defense training, men and women alike, especially the ladies out there, the self-defense is going to help you feel less frightened in these situations.
We've all been there where you're broken down, you get towed in, but then what do you do? Because I've had my engine replaced, and so I didn't have a place to live during that time because they needed it for those 2-week periods. And so you start kind of scrambling for what are you going to do in that situation. Now, I have also been lucky that if you talk nicely to the garage and tell them their situation, they may be like, hey, you can stay in here overnight, no big deal, just be gone during the day while we're working on it, but then you can still live in your home at night. You might get lucky and you might have that situation. And so that's the best case scenario. But again, you might just have to kind of feel around for what your options are. You may need to get a hotel for the night or for a couple nights. A couple things I've also done is if I know people in town, I'll couch surf, and do it that way. So you might just have to figure out what you're going to do if your vehicle is away from you for a 1 to 2 week period.
Well, Brian, I have to say I've done all of those things. I've stayed in a mechanic's parking lot for 2 weeks. I've stayed with friends and family. And I have something that I'm actually working toward right now, which is purchasing a second nomadic vehicle home. And that's kind of part of an emergency fund for me. I had an RV that catastrophically broke down. It was essentially beyond the point of a repair, or it would have taken months to get repaired, and I chose to let it go. And I had my car that I had converted into a nomadic home to move back into. If I didn't, I would have been in a real bind. Even an emergency fund would have ran out real fast in today's rental market. So having had that second vehicle made such a difference. And because we're nomads and we're often not at the same place where we might have storage where I was keeping my car, I did have to rent a car to drive up to where I had my second vehicle to go get it. So there were costs involved. But oh my goodness, having that second vehicle, it was a life changer for me, and it gave me a place to stay, to work, to build back my emergency fund, and to save for my next nomadic home.
That's a really great idea. And it's just part, like you said, it's just part of your emergency fund.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things I've often thought about with a breakdown is if you got in the habit of carrying a tent. In fact, I've got a video on, I think, 6 reasons why a nomad should carry a tent, and there's a lot of good reasons. But one of them was that if you carry a tent and you break down, and you can rent a car, and then you can take your tent and either go out of town and stay in the national forest in your tent, or if you're really lucky, there will be somewhere nearby an RV park with an RV tent section, and now you've got a home. So you probably have everything you can take with you in the new car. You can take your camp stove, you won't have power there. Well, yeah, you will. You might very well have power there. Maybe you can throw your fridge, either ice or 12-volt fridge, and put it in there. I think that's a valid solution. Good reason to carry an extra tent. So I think that is something to consider, a tent and a rental, and you got a lot of options.
And one other thing I'll add is that when you think about your emergency fund, it's not just for the repair itself. It may be that part of that emergency fund goes to getting you a hotel, renting a car.
Absolutely.
And so don't feel put off by this. It's a temporary pain, but you will get through that scenario, and then you'll just work on rebuilding that emergency fund.
Your emergency fund can be just to buy a good used car. Now, you're not going to be comfortable in that car, but this is an emergency. Say your vehicle is gone forever. If you have $3,000 to $5,000, you can probably buy a really good older Honda or Toyota, a 90s. That is a great car, will run forever, but that emergency fund can just buy you a whole new car, and you're on the road again, and you're safe.
Gosh, you guys, I love these ideas. I just want to echo how important the emergency fund is, and I love the tent idea. I hadn't thought of that. And one other thing I want to add before we close is how important it is to just be a kind human being who is supportive to others and builds community wherever you go. I was allowed to stay in a mechanic's parking lot for 2 weeks in Sacramento, mainly because we just had kind rapport. They were incredibly kind. I was kind and so deeply appreciative back, and I built a really great relationship with the staff, with the team. I'd bring them donuts. They let me work in their office all day long with my dog. Basically, having community and building community wherever you go by just being kind and courteous and genuinely appreciative, because my goodness, when people are helping me out when I am in a bind, I am just so appreciative.
Also, kind of pay it forward. If you see someone broken down on the side of the road, again, safety first, make sure it's not a weird situation, feel it out, but maybe lend that helping hand. Or you're out here in the desert and you see someone with their hood up and you can just see them kind of scratching their head. Be like, hey, do you need anything? If you have the skills, you can help them immediately. Or you might be like, hey man, do you need a glass of water, a bottle of water? Do you need me to go get something for you? So I think that's also building community and just kind of paying it forward. And I think that can go a long way.
A lot of us are going to be boondocking. I mean, that's why we live so cheaply, is we live on public land. And boondocking often means going back on a dirt road 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20 miles to a camp we love and want to go to. Well, what happens if you're back there alone and you're broke down? That's where I think community comes in. Try not to go back there alone. Part of your community is camping with a friend who's a little bit scared too, and then you're together. One of you breaks down, the other one drives.
So folks, we hope you heard that preparation, like what you're talking about, prevention, the power of our perspective, kindness in the community, the emergency fund, all of these things can help you in a situation that can otherwise feel intimidating and scary. So what did we miss? There are probably more wonderful ideas you can share in the comments below. What has helped you? So definitely hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye now.